tuned to Evergreen Media Network. I am Cindy Schwartz, and this is the Patient Partner Show. We're a podcast also on Spreaker, so look us up there. Jeannie Roller is on with me today. Again, as usual, my co-host from Indiana, and I'm in Florida. Today, Jeannie, we are talking about $14.6 billion, yes, B with a B, billion, of Medicare fraud. And then the end result when they started, this is so sad. I mean, I just look at this and I say to myself, my insurance could be almost free if it wasn't for all of this stuff. And then the end result when they started figuring out where some of this money went to, blah, 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 it actually has turned out to be $245 million in toys and trinkets that were either cash, luxury vehicles, cryptocurrency, you name it, that some of this stuff was being spent on. Now, that's yours and mine and everyone, the listeners' hard-earned money. And so why is this happening? How did it happen? And I thought, in my opinion, and these shows, these podcasts are your or my opinion. Jeannie, we're not doctors. We're not lawyers. In my opinion, we should be really mad. And I thought Medicare was the gatekeeper for us. Am I wrong about some of this stuff? I don't know. I mean, I always thought Medicare was the gatekeeper.
Well, I did too until we called on it to help protect us, and it didn't.
Yeah.
There was 324 defendants, of which 96 were doctors, nurse practitioners, pharmacists, and other licensed medical professionals. So, I mean, Cindy, when you talk about trust, if to me, and this is my opinion, if someone's willing to steal, then it makes me wonder, what else are they willing to do? It always comes back to that.
Yeah.
It is just amazing that money means so much to these people that they are willing to, basically gamble that they won't get caught and lose everything.
It's sadly, I mean, these numbers are, they're astronomical. $14.6 billion. That's insane. I mean, you could house the homeless for that for their whole lives. And that's just one thing. Yeah. You could really bring, changes to industries on and on and on with the money that's just for people to have cryptocurrency, cash, and luxury vehicles. I mean, how many luxury vehicles do you need in your lifetime, really? I mean, I'd like to have one, but still, I mean, I'm being a little bit facetious, but that's crazy. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear this kind of stuff because that's tapping to all of our pockets. It's making my rates go up, your rates go up. Maybe I could save $100, a month, or I don't know, whatever, and then choose to spend it how I want to, rather than give it to a system that isn't even doing checks and balances on itself. Apparently, I'm glad that they're looking into this. I am totally glad that they're looking into this because it's needed to be looked into. And I do personally know a doctor that did this years ago, and it was in the state of North Carolina. I'm not mentioning any names. And that doctor was held accountable for white collar end result, and then went to the state of New York, somewhere up New York, New Jersey. Don't quote me on that, and just reapplied for a license, started practicing there in another northeastern state. Could have been Connecticut. I don't remember, but I remember it happened in North Carolina, and then that was what happened. It wasn't their license was taken away, and it was definitely Medicare fraud. It was. So,
well, we were talking before we started recording that about my husband, and the hospital system had charged him for a patient room that he wasn't in, and it was 2 in one day, and we expected Medicare to act right on that, but they said the claim had been paid. They didn't want to have to refund money back and reopen the claim. So, Cindy, you figure $4,000 here, $4,000 there.
Right.
That could add up really, really quick. Now, we were persistent, so finally they did reopen it and, didn't pay that claim. But I mean, it took a lot of persistence on our part to get him to do that. So to me, my trust in Medicare went down a whole lot because, they just at first, it only happened to us, one room, and they just like to me. But we were talking, 10 cents here, 10
Right.
cents there. It adds up.
It
and
does
these
add
people
up.
know that. These
Mhm.
people
Does add
who
up.
want to commit the fraud, they know that.
Well, the other thing too is people think, and this is friends of mine. I know that family members. It's a paper trail or whatever. It's not really, real money, if you will, kind of thing. Like, what does it matter? But if you go to a financial advisor, or it doesn't even have to be a financial advisor. You go to somebody because you want to get your bills paid off and you want to get this done and that done. The first thing they tell you is to write down every penny that you spend every day and keep track of it. And then see really where you're wasting money. I mean, that's like, pay your bill off 101 kind of thing. Why do you have this? Do you need to have cable? Do you need to have, this kind of cell phone? So why isn't this being done in this kind of setting when we're looking at these kind of numbers? $14.6 billion. I like to have that in my checking account instead of $14.60. I mean, I'd love to have $14.6 billion. I'd love to have cryptocurrency and all this kind of stuff, but I mean, I'm being kind of funny, but if, you have to do that in your own personal life, us, the listeners or whatever, that's how we live our lives. Why aren't these people being held accountable? Because at the end of the day, there's somebody that's behind this. It's not a machine behind it. There are people that are behind this, CEOs, COOs, whatever the alphabet soup is for their titles. There is somebody behind this. And so they should be even held even more accountable because of this, the system that they're in. Not to be doing this fraud.
Yeah.
And,
reading through that article, another way that fraud was committed was a foreign company had gotten the names and all the information from Medicaid, Medicare recipients, and then were using their information to file fraudulent claims and then laundering the money so that they could get a hold of the money, which, a lot of people don't think about because there are so many calls that you get on the phone saying, hey, I'm representing such and such, or I'm with Medicare and let's talk. My husband just got one yesterday and he's like, I don't talk to you people.
Right. Yeah. Well,
how easy it would be to get someone's information. And then I think they got $703 million in fraudulent claims. So, I mean, that's a lot of money that they made before they got discovered.
And how do you gatekeep that? So let's not, we're not beating up on Medicare, Medicaid. I mean, it's big business and whatever. So how do you gatekeep something like that when people are hacking you? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out. I mean, how do we stave off this stuff happening? I mean, is it that it's electronic records and so it's easy to hack into now? Where I know one doctor that I go to here, it's a heart doctor, all of his records are paper. He's never bought into the online or on none of that. Everything is still a paper. He's got a huge room because he has a lot of patients, but everything's still paper. And his practice seems to be pretty thriving and whatever. I'm not saying that that's the answer for everyone, but have we made it easier for ourselves to get treated and then to be mistreated? Would be my question, because now you're in the system, if you will, and now we're even in the system more with real IDs, with fingerprints for this, where it goes on and on and on. You can be pinpointed. You can Google people all day long, and you come up with a whole thread of where they are, where they were, on and on and on. So,
well, one way as a Medicare recipient that you can try to help prevent fraud against you is every month looking at that statement that they send you with your explanation of benefits and see who's claiming what and make sure that that was actually something you did. I don't think a lot of people may be looking at those statements, but everyone really should, to make sure someone's not committing fraud on them.
Well, that's a good point. It's the same thing they tell you to do on your bank account. I do mine every day, and also on your credit card or credit cards every day. Mortgage is another one that's a big thing. Here in Florida, we have a lot of that. I think it's nationwide pretty much as well, where if your house is paid off, you better, do some research on make sure your title is still okay, because people are stealing titles and, getting loans on your house and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like, we need this kind of headache to be bothered with. On that note, you're your best advocate, Jeannie. You have to be your best advocate. But, I mean, that's a lot of money for fraud that we're all paying for. On that note, stay listening to Evergreen Media Network.